Spoilers for Black Adam, and most of the DCEU. Over the past month, some huge things have been revealed that are going to shape the DC universe for a long time to come. The Rock's long gestating Black Adam project finally hit theatres, introducing the Dark Mirror to Billy Batson's Shazam, the Justice Society, and of course reintroducing Henry Cavill's Superman. After many years of doubt, it seems like the Justice League roster, formed by Zack Snyder, will continue to see new life. Ben Affleck is back for Aquaman 2, and with Walter Hamada's departure, we might even see more of Ray Fisher's Cyborg. Between these characters and Superman, it seemed like they would be doomed to faceless cameos until the end of time. And just recently it was announced that James Gunn and Peter Safran would be the Kevin Feige of the DCEU collectively. Sorry, that's DCU now, as they will be heading up DC Studios. It seems like the stage is set for the DCU to be more unified than ever before and finally start making some headway with its various projects. But after watching Black Adam, I think it's clear there's some big questions getting in the way. The Rock might have toiled over Black Adam for years, but did it do the best job at launching the future of the DCU, the character, or did it have some baffling creative decisions resulting in a Black Adam that can't quite reach his full potential? Black Adam and Shazam not only share a cinematic universe, they're two halves of the same coin, and it seems like Black Adam's problem is that a showdown between the two is the last thing on anybody's mind. What's up with that? I'm going to break down what I liked and hated about the movie, as well as where all these recent revelations leave us with the future of DC on film. What did you think of Black Adam? What did you think of Superman's return? How do you feel about James Gunn having a guiding hand over the DCU? Let me know in the comments below. But first, it's time for the hierarchy of power in the VPN universe to change. Because there's not a VPN on this planet who can stop NordVPN. NordVPN is at the top of the list when it comes to performance and speed. I reckon even Superman would have some trouble. Much like Black Adam, it can connect at lightning fast speeds and allows you to use Netflix and other streamers without any geo-restrictions. You can also use a VPN to play geo-restricted video games, and it helps prevent against DDoS attacks when you're gaming. There's a kill switch that you can use as the last line of defense for any potential data breaches. They also have a no logs policy, so you can be confident they don't keep any record of the data that passes through. Look, you know what a VPN does, anyone under 30 knows what a VPN does, you know why it's useful, just go and get one now. Instead, why don't you send this advert to like your granny or something, someone who doesn't know what a VPN is. That'll be useful. And in the meantime, go to nordvpn.com/fullfatvideos to get 4 months free on a 2-year subscription and a 30-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Black Adam feels like a superhero movie from 2013. It's got lots of superheroes and outlandish comic book propositions deemed too much for the 2000s, and all the same kind of arcs and one-liners that were popularised at the start of the last decade. This is like watching Thor: The Dark World, gorging on candy, utterly inoffensive and unchallenging, every beat an attempt at comedy something you've seen before. The problem is that by 2022, Black Adam is so played out in every aspect that the whole thing feels like a pastiche of the superhero genre rather than an exciting new installment in the mega franchise. You can feel how much The Rock was trying with Black Adam. We get loads of big action, loads of new superheroes brought to the screen, high octane superpowers. It really is non-stop. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite seem to grasp that caring for these people is what makes the spectacle memorable. That's what keeps us coming back. I've seen The Rock often compared to being this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the difference is that unfortunately, whilst there's some Rock movies that I really enjoy, he has never really delivered a truly great blockbuster.
I'm a stud.
The characters of Black Adam are its weakest suit. They all behave roughly in line with their comic book counterparts, they're well cast if not exceptional all round, and the costume designs are all serviceable to great. Hawkman doesn't look absurdly ridiculous, and Dr. Fate has all the swagger characteristic of a man who was once Bond. but there's very little in the way of dimensionality. Cyclone and Atom Smasher are the noobs of the team, but their vaguely romantic bond is completely unexplored. Hawkman and Fate are old friends, but that fondness doesn't really shine through at all. None of their backstories are made clear, and if you didn't know anything about them from the comics, I wonder how these characters would come across. Hawkman just seems like an Iron Man type with all his gadgets and money and indestructible jets, and then he has the appearance of a more magic-based character like Thor. It's unclear how powerful he is or how he has all of his gear from the movie alone. Dr. Fate's mystical abilities are described as nearly godlike, but we aren't told the ins and outs of how it operates. If you've just seen Ant-Man, would you assume Atom Smasher's power is in his body or in the suit? Cyclone has a single line about her origins, and that's it. None of these characters really grow or change. It's clear the Justice Society are placeholders to give Black Adam someone to punch before the true evil villain is revealed, but of course Sabak is just as one note as they are. It's largely left to Black Adam's moral woes to carry the story of any kind of weight, but there's a lot left to be desired there. In the lead up to Black Adam, we've seen tons of villain movies, but they all share the same problem. They never are villain movies. From Venom to Morbius to Harley Quinn to Joker, actually Joker is the exception, all of these villain movies make the villain a full-blown hero, barely even an anti-hero. They might do some questionable things, but you're meant to chuckle and applaud like any other superhero movie. Black Adam has a kid sidekick and rejects the throne and works on catchphrases, he's a hero to conduct, and there's really nothing that's morally grey about him.
Look alive to me.
Because I saved them.
I got the information I needed. No one died. I did it your way.
I can't ever imagine this guy being a villain to Shazam or Superman. The whole film is devoid of any kind of substance, but not quite ridiculous enough to be as fun as the Fast and Furious movies.
Daddy's gotta go to work.
Strangely, there is a political commentary running throughout Black Adam, but it only serves to further confuse the movie and its characters. The Justice Society are essentially painted as imperialist invaders, and they literally refer to Black Adam as a weapon of mass destruction and are sent in to basically impose their will and capture Black Adam against his, when he's not really done anything wrong at this point. And the lesson of the movie is that they should capture him, and they do capture him, and they knowingly send him to imprisonment with no end, and the only reason they release him is because there's a bigger bad guy that they need to squash using only his power. So they essentially imprison him and then use him as a weapon of their own, and the way they treat him is awful. They don't even try to communicate with him at the start, they just go in smashing, and they like, Dr. Fate says to him, like, your powers have done nothing good for you, so that's the reason, I guess, for us to imprison you and capture you forever. It's really strange, and the Justice Society come off as villains more than heroes, but the film doesn't interrogate any of these notions, so it doesn't really work. Black Adam's too heroic, and the Justice Society are just hired muscle for Amanda Waller. This movie feels more like a Suicide Squad movie, weirdly enough. You've got Amanda Waller using a group of superpowered individuals to travel to foreign territory and impose America's will to stop something that they see as a threat to their own sovereign nation. It's strange, apart from the neck bombs, there's nothing really disconnecting this from being a Suicide Squad movie. DC has a strange habit of releasing solo movies for duos just months apart. When the Joker finally got a movie of his very own, Harley Quinn was the protagonist of her own movie just a few months later with Birds of Prey, and now Shazam 2 will be coming out not long after Black Adam. In the case of the former example, it's weird, but in context it makes sense. They were very different styles and wouldn't have suited bearing any connection with each other. But in the case of Shazam and Black Adam, the two are irrevocably linked. Jimon Honsu plays the same wizard, they're both set in an expansive cinematic universe, and they both have near enough the same abilities and power levels. A throwdown between Shazam and Black Adam doesn't just make sense, it should be an inevitable step on both characters' journeys. And yet instead, both series seem to have a hard-on for Superman. Not only do both movies feature a ton of references to the Kryptonian, both movies end with the Cavill iteration showing up. Of course, one element Black Adam did better than Shazam is they actually managed to show us Henry Cavill's face over the now infamous final scene at the school cafeteria. I get why The Rock wants the character he is playing to face Superman. He's the big cheese, the biggest challenge, the most iconic superhero, the one all the most vocal fans want to see, and specifically with Cavill as the face of said character. But aside from the spectacle of having a Royal Rumble, there's not too much room for interesting story ideas here. I'd much rather see Superman focus on his wide array of underused rogues on film, and for Black Adam to fight his true nemesis, Vin Diesel. No, I mean Shazam, obviously. I don't think this comes from the Shazam production side of things, but from Black Adam and The Rock himself. There's long been murmurs that The Rock has fought to keep Shazam and Black Adam separate. Even more recently it's been said that The Rock has thinly veiled disdain for the series. It's not hard to see why. The Rock is trying to make Black Adam come across as this deadly force of nature that skirts the line between anti-hero and full-blown villainy, and his comic book nemesis is in a series that sees him flossing and cracking silly jokes.
I'd like to purchase some of your finest beer, please.
But it seems like The Rock has completely and utterly missed the point of bringing these two together and forging a hero-villain dynamic. So instead it seems for the foreseeable future we'll be stuck with both Shazam and Black Adam being obsessed with the potential of a Superman crossover, whilst barely being mentioned or referenced in each other's films. That sucks. I hope The Rock can see the fan desire for Shazam and Black Adam to meet, like he noticed how many people wanted the mainline Superman back in the DCU. The problem on top of that is even if The Rock does decide, okay, maybe Shazam isn't as lame as I've been thinking, let's cross over, is it going to be much of a hero-villain dynamic? The Black Adam we get from The Rock is not only devoid of villainy, he's barely even an anti-hero. He kills people, which is his only anti-hero trait. That doesn't really sell us on any kind of moral grey when heroes from both cinematic universes have been murder happy for quite some time now. The manifestation of Black Adam's anti-hero status in the movie is just him saying lots of edgelord hyper-serious things like, "Get your enemies to beg for mercy, then take it away at the last second. We must teach violence, ah!" I can't imagine Black Adam being evil enough to warrant a conflict across a whole movie with Shazam, and it seems like what would be more likely is that they punch for a bit and then they're mates. Hardly a hero-villain pairing on par with the Joker and Batman, or Superman and Lex Luthor now, is it? I applaud The Rock's effort to go all out with Black Adam, but it doesn't feel like an adaptation that's thinking about how best to adapt the stories of the DC universe over picking what action figures will be best to smash together. With Amanda Waller already being an antagonist of Black Adam, I'd much rather see the Superman Black Adam showdown occur in the next Suicide Squad movie. If that ever happens, which is a damn shame. If The Rock wants to further develop Tef Adams' moral code, what would the Man in Black do against a team of people trying to kill him, yes, but shackled to choices made by Waller? Would he not have a shred of sympathy for them having bombs in their necks, given his origins 5,000 years prior, and perhaps even show them some of this off-sneered at mercy? Bloodsport and Superman have unfinished business, so it would be easy to get the Kryptonian into the mix as a third party in the story with his own motivation and allegiances. A Suicide Squad movie allows Black Adam to engage with his darker side without everything hinging on it. Do you remember the DC 2022 trailer that dropped at the start of the year? What a hype trailer that was. It finally felt like DC was starting to get a real grip on their slate. Combining the Batman, the Flash, Aquaman 2 and Black Adam, it looked like a hell of a more exciting lineup than whatever Marvel had cooking. And yet DC's biggest problem is surely still planning, because only the Batman came out as planned. Black Adam moved from an appropriate summer release to October. This is just not an autumn movie. The bombastic action would have suited the summer. Aquaman and The Flash ended up cameoing in Peacemaker for their 2022. I do think it's the best time for James Gunn and Shazam producer Peter Safran to come in and have a guiding hand over the DCU. It's a shame that Batgirl got cancelled and Aquaman got delayed, and The Flash is fucked, with a capital F. What the hell are they going to do with that one? I'm not going to lie, I know I'm on the minority on this, but before Ezra Miller happened, I was really excited for this one. Yeah, thought they were finally going to do the Flash right, and what's going to happen with that? Anyway, with so much in disarray, I think Gunn and Safran can really honour the source material whilst forging ahead with fresh ideas for this world. Gunn gets the DC Comics world, and with Safran making more Shazam movies, maybe they could convince The Rock that there's something very exciting to be had by crossing them over and doing it properly. Establishing some real conflict motivated by character, Superman can be a part of it, but the crux of the story needs to lie with Shazam and Black Adam. And then get Superman to fight Brainiac in Man of Steel 2, and we can all go home happy. Oh, and give me Green Lantern. I've seen some Snyder fans unhappy that Guardian's gun is taking over, but I don't get that at all. If anything, you're far more likely to get Snyder to come back for something now than you were before. Even during the release of the Snyder Cut, Zack had disdain for WB, maybe Gunn could mend that wound. I don't get the pro-Snyder Gunn hate. The two worked together on Dawn of the Dead, and Gunn wouldn't limit Zack's vision were he to come back. This is the best case scenario for everyone. We'll get more stories in a cohesive universe by a director who has contributed some of the best work to it, a producer that has nurtured different tones, and with the possibility for many more exciting filmmakers to join the fray, as well as some old favourites. In spite of my tepid response to Black Adam the movie, I think the character has legs, but focusing on forging a long-term narrative with the Shazam family needs to be a priority. Even if The Rock needs to punch Superman or the Suicide Squad or, I don't know, the entire Justice League first. Do you feel irked by the lack of Shazam references in Black Adam? Do you want to see them share the screen, or would you rather he fought Superman as his main focus? Let me know in the comments below. A big thank you to my Full Fat tier patron, Dr. Chike. If you'd like to donate money to my Patreon, you can find me at patreon.com/fullfatvideos. If you'd like to find me on Instagram, you can find me at full_fat_videos. And if you'd like to find me on Twitter, you can find me at, you guessed it, at fullfatvideos.